go. Another week, another hip-hop podcast. It's your host, Mayron. You'll find out more about me as this podcast goes on. As always, I'm joined by the lovely, the wonderful...
Not annoyed?
Not annoyed.
Yeah. Man, take your meds, y'all. I'm in a good mood lately. Hey, it's Bree, what was my nickname?
Curator?
The Curator, Killer Kung Fu Wolf Bitch, all those cool things. I really miss my old podcast nicknames, but I'm trying to come up with some better than the old ones, because the old ones were quite good. So, I'm keeping Kombucha Connoisseur. I'm keeping that one, too, because I like that one.
Kombucha Connoisseur.
I like that. That's a really solid option.
Thank you! I
go with that.
Thank you.
We're also here with...
Oh, hey. I'm Chase. Mayron's my ride home, so I am here.
That's one way to describe yourself. So,
that.
the reason Chase is here and on this podcast today is because not only does she help out with healthcare and is a future medical student and does a bunch of other sort of healthcare related things in the Baltimore, D.C. area, she also happens to be a super fan of someone we are a super fan of, the great Erykah Badu.
Yes.
And
the bag lady herself.
The bag lady herself. So today we're doing another installation in our series, The Evolution Of, and we are going to do the evolution of Erykah Badu. It was pointed out that we haven't done any women, and I'm like, well, this is a good place to start.
For sure.
Especially because of how prevalent women are in today's rap game. I think yesterday you tweeted something about how, like, the top 5... Brie, I'm looking at you.
Yes, no, I was thinking about it. Yeah, like, this is the first time that, 7, I think it was, women have been in the...
Like the top 10?
Billboard charts. Yeah, 7 women are in the top 10 Billboard charts. Yeah. And they listed all of them. Cardi and Nicki, obviously, but Megan Thee Stallion. It was like 2 or 3 more.
Like, I think XXL just came out and there were like 3 women on the cover. Which is
shout out
like
Rico.
20 years.
Man, shout out to this XXL cover list. Yeah. I knew 1 year, I didn't know if it was going to be last year, this year, or the next year. I'm like, soon they're going to get one right just to shut everyone the fuck up. Yeah. And then they're going to go right back to being fuckboys. Because honestly, at this point, the XXL cover list is another like industry plant space.
Totally.
Yeah.
So
I was like, there was no reason Blueface needed to be on there.
But I knew it was coming. And I knew it was going to come by way of like having female rappers. But I knew there needed to be like at least 5 that were on everyone's radar before 2 of them made it. And here we are. Yeah. But the choices that they did make, none of them were wrong.
None of them were wrong, exactly. So we figured, not just to honor that, but in order to sort of showcase the variety of women in hip hop, we were going to start at one of the founding figures of women in hip hop in a lot of ways. Erykah Badu's been around for over 20 plus years. Her first album came out in like 97. Mm-hmm. So she's been through it, and she's seen the fall and rise of like empires within hip hop and has assisted the fall and rise of those empires. She's been romantic partners to like some of the greatest MCs ever, and she's honestly created music just as worthy, if not more worthy than them. Mm-hmm. And she deserves her time to shine. So we're hoping to give her some of her flowers, much like we did for Nipsey, much like we did for Currency, and everyone else on that Evolution Of playlist. By the way, if you want to hear all our Evolution Ofs, we have a playlist on SoundCloud featuring all of the Evolution Ofs.
Pieces.
So, do you want to start us off with your thoughts on Erykah, Miss Superfan?
Okay. So, my introduction to Erykah, in the same way that most of my introduction to music was my dad. So I sing, and my dad also sings, and he taught me about judging a lot of musicians through their live performances. Mm-hmm. And he was like, if you want to see somebody that is not just a musician, but actually performs and actually brings a new element of how it is they arrange their music and everything into the spaces that they come to share their music with everybody, it's going and seeing Erykah. So for me, the first kind of introduction to seeing Erykah was listening to the live album, looking at different videos and stuff with my dad, and kind of seeing how she would take different albums, like studio albums and versions of things, and completely rearrange them. So you're seeing the different songs that she has on stuff in a whole new light. And I think kind of seeing how an artist could take something that's pretty like, okay, this is the general vibe you're getting from the music and the songs, and completely just trash that thing that you have and rearrange it and like make it a whole new like concept is pretty cool. So that was my first like, Erykah.
I actually really love that you said that, because I think that's one of the most important factors of Erykah. One of the most important factors of Erykah Badu's career is, I think about the way that live music is like treated, the way artists go about it now, and we see so many adaptations from their studio albums to live performances, and we see like a lot of like renditions and stuff like that. And the main two people that I think about when it comes to like what artists inspired the artists now to do that are Erykah Badu and Lauryn Hill. Like I think of Lauryn Hill Unplugged, and I think of Erykah Badu.
No, for sure. Yeah. I think they're two of the greatest live performers ever. And I also think there's something to be said about being a musician who enjoys performing live. Because if you think about the history of music, right? The history of music, the majority for like his human existence, music has only been performed live. Mm-hmm. Right? It's relatively recent that we have these things called CDs or MP3 players or even records. It's all relatively recent within like the overall time span of human history that you could go home and listen to music in a solitary place.
Right.
Or that you could go away from a group of people and listen to music on your own. Traditionally, music is experienced like storytelling through a group of someone sitting there and showing you what they have to say, right? And Erykah Badu continues that human tradition. In a lot of ways, it makes her music that much more powerful because that's what she focuses on. The human tradition of like musical storytelling and giving you a narrative of her music live and only live. I think all three of us saw her at Afropunk this past year. And for me at least, like I had been an Erykah Badu fan, right? Like I'm like, all right, yeah, of course, who doesn't like Erykah Badu? Especially with my like Talib Kweli, Mos Def rap, influences from middle school. But like, so of course you're gonna be a fan of Erykah Badu. She's the like woman equivalent of a lot of their like conscious raps are in her albums. But it wasn't until I saw her live at Afropunk that I realized how committed she was to both her craft and that her craft really wasn't actually anything to do with the albums. Her craft was performing live. Yeah. And it changed my perspective of her completely, and it changed my perspective of the music completely. I think I started listening to her a lot more closely and paying much more attention to where she was performing and when she was doing it and the intentionality with which she did it. But like Erykah Badu is a lot more than just that too, right? So like one of the things that like I was doing as we were poking around researching Erykah Badu is I saw that she's in movies, she's been a director, she's done this, she's done a lot of the things that we associate with like people like Childish Gambino or Jamie Foxx, where it's like these are multi-talented people and multi-talented individuals that do a bunch of things. And she was, I think, one of the first people in hip hop to sort of say, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of a rapper, neo soul singer thing, but I'm also a million other things at once. Yeah. Here's me as an artist, right? And I don't know, can you speak to Erykah a little bit as like an artist and like who she is, like just not just as a singer itself, but sort of all the other things that she does?
I think that, and it's something that she brings up sometimes in interviews and things like that, she didn't expect to be discovered or for her big thing to be her being a singer. Like she was emceeing, she was DJing and stuff like that, and somebody was like, hey, you want to come like do the open mic for D'Angelo and stuff? And she was like, all right, sure, I guess. And here we are. And I think that has a really big it gives a big good picture as to kind of who she is in terms of the things that she puts out into the world. She's very much so a person that taps into her spirituality and kind of what it is she sees going on and how people are moving into the world. And from that kind of outputs things. And those things could be her mixing for people. Those things could be her like writing or like mentoring different artists that are coming in. I don't think she sees it as, okay, I'm feeling all of these things and this is the specific channel that she needs to do her artwork through. I think she sees herself as the channel. And then from that, whatever it is she does next, she just kind of does.
I feel that because I definitely think she is the embodiment of, I think, in neo-soul specifically, but like the stereotype of what we think about of somebody who calls himself an artist. Like, I'm not a musician, I'm an artist. Like, she's very much that. Like, kind of the same way we kind of clown Lauryn Hill. Like, she has to align her chakras and all that shit before she comes on stage, which is why she's an hour late. But the difference between Lauryn Hill and Erykah Badu is she still delivers and all of the factors that she is required to. I mean, the way that she goes about it, like she does definitely tap into her spirituality, and the way she goes about her artistry, it seems so freeform. And I think that's one of the things that we really respect when it comes to artists is like, it doesn't, when it feels like they didn't put too much thought into it, that they weren't really trying that hard, and Erykah Badu is that artist, but at the same time, you can tell she's somebody that respects her craft and respects her music, so that's why you know it's partly bullshit, but just it's more just like the attitude I think that she kind of exudes. It's like, it's really magnetic, and I think it's an addictive personality that I think people seek when they look for artists to inspire them and stuff like that. Similarly, just talking about especially her live performance, I've been trying to think like, is there any artist now that kind of rivals that, or has rivaled that? And I kind of don't think so. I think a lot of artists have tried to emulate that. Not saying that doesn't mean they're not being themselves, they're being fake, but I think Janae is somebody that like kind of gets that a lot. Like she tries really hard, but it's very like, spiritual and artsy, and I feel things and everything, and it's like, she's such a baby Erykah. And like we see the same thing with Solange, especially when it comes to her live performances. Like you could tell Solange just doesn't roll out of bed and does whatever the fuck she fucking wants, and I think that's why we respect her so much as an artist. And it's funny to look, just thinking about that and reflecting on that. Like, it's funny thinking about all the things that artists, especially female artists, have gotten specifically from Erykah.
Yeah.
I don't know many other artists that are kind of like that. That like everyone, and no matter the genre, no matter like the age or generational gap, like everyone kind of looks up and respects not just the music, not just the product, but the way that she goes about it.
Yeah, like when people talk about her being the queen of neo soul, it's never like, oh, but there's so and so. It's like, okay, period.
Yeah, right.
That's like, it. There's no debate, and it's also because of the time where she was like kind of coming up in her music. The time where she had like the live album Mama's Gun, as well as Baduism dropping, was in that rise of like D'Angelo was coming out, Common was coming out, like everybody was coming out in this big kind of fostering and like one of the biggest, if not the biggest peak in the neo soul era. So it's kind of it, and being as strong as she was in that era, there's no kind of debate as to the impact that she had on other people.
Well, let's talk about that era, right? From like 97 to 06 real quick, because during that time of the Baduism, Mama's Gun, and then Worldwide Underground, right? During those 3 albums, she did a lot of stuff. So I know you listed a lot of her collaborations during that time as well, right? Mm-hmm. So with the Soulquarians and with D'Angelo and stuff like that, can you? I don't even know where to start, and with Dungeon Fam as well. So DF, like
it's a lot.
She did
all the baby daddies
so much. All the baby daddies. Why don't you start out with that? All the baby daddies. Go ahead.
So I think in that time period when she's creating Mama's Gun, D'Angelo's creating Voodoo, Common's creating like Water for Chocolate, you have Questlove kind of come and be like, all my friends are doing things. Let's everybody get into one little area and we can all just produce and write and do all of the things together. So you hear the kind of, instead of it being, okay, this one album in this category is being made along with another album being made, you have albums that are in communication with each other. Like you have people that are like, oh, you're doing this song, this sounds cool, let me hop on it real quick. Or you have other people like Method Man coming in and being like, all right, let me just hop on this song super quick. Let me do a little bit. And I think the spirit of that collaboration and like the number of different people that were involved, like Jay Dilla was involved. Like there were just so many people that were huge in music kind of coming in and being like, you know what, let's really just pour into these 3 albums and they're all going to launch within like a year or 2 of each other. And I think having and hearing the communication within each other really cemented and kind of gave a concrete foundation for why people go back to this era, like the sounds that they're trying to hear, like the reflection of the projection with the way that you rap over like the different beats and stuff, and like how
So Soulquarians basically is the Roots got a bunch of really dope people all to come to Philly together, and more or less, right?
Yeah,
like they got a bunch of really.
I think it was Jimi Hendrix's old studio. They were all just like, oh, no one's using this. Let me just come.
And they all like cooped up, much like recently how Revenge of the Dreamers 3 came together, but a completely different vibe to the room, obviously. And they all sort of got together and they all started making music. One of the cool things about all of them making music together is you get to hear Erykah in a bunch of different places. You hear Erykah on a bunch of Roots collabs, right?
Yeah.
And she is the iconic
like Things
voice.
Fall Apart is happening at this time. Like there's so many things.
And when you get to hear all these, you get to hear her musical influence sort of spread out throughout the Soulquarians and I guess kind of be like the first lady of them, amongst them. And then, so the music she actually produced, like Baduism itself, Mama's Gun itself, these are sort of revolutionary albums as well. If you listen to the content that Erykah produced at this time, it's very like, you know how Twitter is now? Like, think about that back then, right? Where Twitter wokeness is now, where we're thinking about sort of like the end of capitalism and the beginnings of new systems, where Twitter thinks about the different ways systems oppress different people and sort of how things are not permanent and sort of the spirituality. Erykah was on that shit back then, and she would put that into her albums. One of my favorite songs by her, and it's because it's called 82,000, right? 82,000 is the first song in my shuffle, right? That comes on whenever I plug my thing in my car. So you hear it constantly. So eventually you just like, you either learn to love it or you hate it, or you learn all the words. And one of the first things she does in the verse is she's like, hey, don't name any buildings after me. Like, I don't want that building to end up dilapidated, torn down. I don't want that to like be shown as a passage of time towards my legacy. Like, let me live in permanence without the physical tethers of the world. And that's the kind of person that Erykah was back then, right? She created the basis she amplified the basis and foundation for a lot of what like woke Twitter, what spiritual Twitter is on right now. And she deserves a lot of credit because she mentored a lot of artists who are in that space as well.
Yeah, I think with Mama's Gun in particular, a lot of what I find with the albums, they're either a little bit more heavy-handed on the spirituality side of things, or a bit more like, oh wow, all these things in the world, da 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 da. And I think Mama's Gun was the best combination of both that integrated them really well. Like, I think in On, she talks about like how frustrating it is knowing all these spiritual things and knowing how connected we are, and then seeing everybody literally just killing each other, and how existing in a world like this, even when you don't have a lot going on, is anxiety inducing, but how specifically for women or for people of color, it's like that much more stressful and that much more like you're living in like franticness. And I think throughout that entire album, she's kind of using the spirituality to work through the different external anxieties and stuff that people get shoved in their faces and stuff, until you get to like Bag Lady, and it's like, just leave this shit behind. Like, just keep going.
I don't know, like, how do you think Erykah's like viewed now, given that she did all this like back when some of these people weren't even born? It's almost 2019 now, and it's like a lot of the groundwork she laid, I don't know if it can be traced back to her directly. So I wonder how that like affects how she's viewed.
Well, one thing that I do really appreciate about Erykah Badu, and something that I feel like is something to commend her for as like a legend comparable to like a lot of other ones, is I don't think she tries to remain relevant, but she has found a way to do so. One of the ways that she does so, and I think does so very successfully, is like mentoring and taking under, like you just mentioned, like new artists and stuff like that. And that's one of the ways in which I see a lot of people, especially people like a lot younger than me, connecting to her, was like, if people that she's praised, like from Janelle Monáe to like, I think, do people remember that like she put us on to Dej Loaf? Like, yeah. I like never forgot that. Every time I hear Dej Loaf, I think about Erykah Badu. Like, every single time, like, damn, like, she really, like, just wrote for her for no reason. Like, for no fucking reason.
It's, like, really interesting going on her Instagram and seeing the random-ass people she follows. I'm like, they're gonna be famous in, like, 3 years. Like, just wait.
It's right. It's like, hilarious.
She just knows, like, ahead of time.
So, I mean, I think it's kind of split. I feel like people that did grow up with her have a rightful, like, level of, like, respect and admiration for her. Not just because of how she was able to influence us, but all the artists that we've seen come after her and under her and kind of right next to her that has been, like, openly, like, this woman has influenced the fuck out of me. Mm-hmm. Then I think there's another generation, the younger generations that might have not grown up with her, but had, like, older siblings that were hip and were playing the shit. Like, those are my younger siblings. It's, like, they're hip to Erykah because, like, I played that shit. You know what I'm saying? I played that shit the same time I was playing Outkast, I was playing Erykah Badu. So, like, you got hip to both of them at the same time. So I think it's a little bit of that, but also, like, a lot of, like, younger niggas phase, up and coming legends now, like, suck Erykah the fuck off. Like, Drake was obsessed with Erykah Badu. Like, obsessed with Erykah Badu. Yeah, like, the bitch 100%. Gave me tea. She let me into her home. Like, that bitch was in a whole bar. Like he puts everyone fucking else. But I mean, this is probably the one woman he did not fucking smash to put in his fucking bar.
Yeah, I don't think Erykah let Drake smash.
No. I think she was just like, no, not this one.
If anything, she, like, let him give her head. He was like, yes, my pet. And then, like, sent him on his way. But that's what Drake's good for. But
jeez.
But yeah, so I mean, I feel like no matter what, people recognize the name Erykah Badu, and with that, they, like, recognize the notoriety that comes with that. It's, like, kind of like why or where that notoriety comes from, I think, is what is different. But I think Erykah Badu is just one of those names, like Andre 3000, to where, like, you don't even have to listen to Andre 3000 music or Outkast music outside of Aquemini because everybody has that shit in their iTunes. So like not recognize that he is that nigga and that he has influenced countless artists after him. Like Erykah Badu is that. Like she literally is a female version of that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways she is a female version of 3 Stacks, I think.
I wonder how annoying that is for her because I know she hears it all the time.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I know, like, for example, like, Kehlani loves her. Right?
Yes.
Like,
her and Lauren, though.
I mean, Kehlani loves them both equally, I would assume. But
does she have Erykah on her body?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't.
She had that big ass, so that's what I think.
Maybe it was like one of the other, and she like flipped the coin and was like,
okay. Lauren, it fits. Aesthetics.
But you bring up an interesting point about her comparison to 3 Stacks, because, like, they are similar, but I think the things they did are different.
For sure,
right?
yeah.
They're very similar in impact. I mean, obviously, we should probably talk about the relationship that they had at some point.
Yeah.
And sort of, Erykah Badu has always kind of, I'm hesitant to say this, but she said this more or less. She enjoys enjoying people, right? So she picks the people that she wants to be in romantic relationships very, very carefully. And she takes a lot of time to like make sure those people are ready for her, and when she feels like they are no longer ready for her or no longer receiving of her, she decides that it's over.
Smart woman.
And it's a genius move, actually, right?
Genius.
Like she knows exactly.
Again, ahead of her time.
I would employ all women to follow this narrative. I would employ.
Yeah.
She's just like, hey, like 3 Stacks, like this is us together. And what's the name of their child?
7.
7, right?
7.
He just turned.
I think he's 21.
Yeah,
he just turned 21.
Because she was like, I think she had him the day Live came out, or like right before or right after, something like that. Like, it was very, very close. I think she was like pregnant after Baduism and then had him when Live was
she was
coming
recording Baduism while pregnant.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I don't even think she knew she was pregnant, but yeah.
Well, I remember at Afropunk, she said, like, you guys are the generation of
this song.
7.
Like, I was like, she was like very much so like, my baby was gestating and like while I was making all this music, so the baby was being created while she was making the music and everything. And then like, she was like, I wanted y'all to get it. She was like, I feel like this is going to resonate with you all differently because you were coming of age in the time that my son was coming of age, or like around a similar timeline, which was interesting.
And
interesting.
She like, that's how she thinks, right?
Yeah.
Like, she presented that album to us at Afropunk. Basically a rendition of that album for the specific purpose of like, hey, my son just turned 21 last week. Yeah. You guys are all around this age. This album is for you. That's what this album was intended to be. And like, but it wasn't just with 3 Stacks. She did that, right? She also did the same kind of thing with Jay Electronica
and Common. Even they don't have a baby, but like
Common. But in the sense that like she had a moment with each of these people, right?
A huge moment. And arguably one of their best moments as much as it was for them. Like I think one of the Common's heights was like love of my life. Like commercially.
Sure. No, for sure. Yeah. That, I think that's one of his highs. And also even musically, like Love of My Life is a great song.
It's very good. I used to be obsessed with it. Ugh. So gross. And the video is really cute.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that too. Erykah Badu and her motherfucking visuals.
I mean, that's what I was trying to get at earlier, is that she's done so much more than just make music, right? Erykah Badu is super intentional in her visuals and super intentional in music videos. Yeah. You might as well start there now.
I mean, the main thing that I just want to talk about is one of the reasons why I really, really fell in love with her is because I like learned that I was able to put her in the same boat as other artists that I really look up to, like Miss Lisa Left Eye Lopez, because of how much in control she was of her art. That's kind of been a theme that I keep coming back to, is like the creativity and the imagination that artists are allowed to exercise through the music videos and like the creative control they were able to take. But when I found out Erykah Badu was like coming up with ideas and themes, which was more understandable, but also like directing majority of her music videos, especially towards the end of her career. And like in some of her best motherfucking music videos, like Didn't You Know is one of the best music videos of all time. And like Window Seat, obviously one of my faves. But I also appreciate like how purposefully controversial she made her music videos. Like, I think in the way that we kind of like roll our eyes at like people like the Kardashians calling the paparazzi on themselves before going places, like because of how like cheap and gross that is. I mean, I like how Erykah kind of took that idea and took that concept and again took that control over herself and was like, I want niggas to be talking shit. I want to shock people. I want to piss people off. I want to confuse people. And I want to do that through my music videos.
Yeah.
I really appreciated how she did that. And like stood up in that shit. One of my favorite stories about Erykah Badu's career in general is that it was a window seat video where she was like stripping, right? And ended up walking in that street like butt ass naked. I remember that was like the first time everyone had like seen Erykah Badu's ass, and like that was the moment that it like solidified that she was like up there with Free. About having like the fattest natural ass. Like niggas were just shocked. Like I knew Erykah had them yams. That shit was so fucking funny because I also thought the exact same thing. Like damn.
It's like, you know, like with the loose clothing, you're like, I'm not really sure. Yes.
And then, yeah, she got that thing, though. Yes. Shout out to Erykah. But
I think it's also interesting, the thinking and stuff as well, because you can kind of see, like, that a lot of people, a good portion of the population that would see just like clips or like snippets of the videos would just react.
Yep.
But she's already thinking like not this step one where you're reacting, but like 5 steps on. Like that's what she's trying to get you to.
Yeah, like,
and I think it's not just like, oh, like some sort of knee-jerk reaction. She's like, okay, and from that reaction, why?
Right,
and where do you want to go?
Yes.
What is your background to getting you here? And it's like the fact that you can predict all of those different things with the audience that you're going to be getting music to. It's kind of wild.
In such a trivial way, right? Like she's not like setting flower petals on fire and doing like all this shit that again we think like very nuanced, artistic ass niggas do. Like she just walked on the fucking street with a black and white filter with her fucking ass out, like, and was able to spark those same kind of fucking conversations. Like the blackness I aspire. But one of the my favorite story about the window seat music video, because I've read so much about it, especially when she was like they were trying to like make her ass go to jail and shit for that fucking music video. They were trying to have her ass fucking arrested, and they're trying to have her lock up for like indecent exposure and stuff like that. But one of the reasons why they weren't able to do so is because they were like hounding, because she like just kind of blocked off a street and like just shot it like very like on the whim, on the cuff. Everybody that was around her had no idea what was going on, which was all purposeful again, kind of for shock value, and also like kind of get out my business. I'm just gonna do this and get away with it, and the only way I can do that is by like not planning it. So these niggas are like going around that whole neighborhood trying to find witnesses that were there for that music video to get them to testify against Erykah Badu, and everybody refused. They tried to get people on her production team that like helped create the video, shoot the video, to testify even anonymously against her, just so she could like get fined, not even jail time, just get fined for being in the street butt naked. Nobody did it. Like nobody, even like for just money. Like I'm sure these niggas were bribed, I'm sure whatever. Like it's crazy how much she is respected. And again, I think it goes to that, like niggas won't even snitch on her. Like,
and then going back to the people that were pressing, why are you so mad?
Right.
Why? I guess just think about this. Like
exactly. And then again, I don't want to give her everything, but I mean, I feel like that was also a part of it too. I think she expected at least like niggas is gonna be mad about this. They've been trying to throw me away about this, but that's just gonna spark another fucking conversation. Why are you so ashamed?
Yeah. Well, part of her thing, right, is that her very existence has always been revolutionary. Right? Yeah. She's always looked at her existence as being revolutionary. She's always looked at her art just by the nature of it being art as revolutionary. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Bria, and what you were saying earlier, Chase, where she sees herself as a channel through which art comes through. Not necessarily as a musician, not necessarily as like poet, not necessarily as a director, but just a channel, a medium for art itself. And by being that in itself, you obviously cause some controversy and outrage. I think while we all love Erykah Badu, she has had some definitely moments where like we disagreed with her vehemently.
For sure.
And she's gone to that edge. She's gone to that creative edge many, many, many times. And I think as an artist, she's sort of like grappled with what all like, I guess, revolutionary artists or what all edgy artists do. It's like when you go to that edge, you often go over that edge by accident. Or even intentionally, you go over that edge and you realize you've done something that you can't take back. Particularly on her Twitter, right? Like, I love Erykah, but she definitely has taken some stances that I can't defend. I don't think anyone in this room would defend.
Oh, not at all.
But it's more so, it's interesting, right, to see someone like this. It's almost, you almost expect it from someone that's always on that creative edge. You almost expect it from someone who's always there and teetering on the brink of going off the deep end, but still staying afloat.
Yeah, I still think a lot of people were surprised, though. I think just because, again, of the way that we, like, idealize what an artist is. I think a lot of people were shocked when Erykah Badu made some points, especially some points that would seem the opposite of who she kind of seems to be, like liberal and open and things like that. Like her stance on like how younger girls should dress and stuff like that to protect themselves, vehemently against that. Or like her speaking on the R. Kelly situation, like vehemently against that. And I think people are shocked because they're like, you're such like an open, free love person. How could you say something like girls don't need to wear skirts to school? Like, but I think people confuse the difference between openness and open-mindedness. And I think there's a huge difference between openness and open-mindedness. And while Erykah Badu has made it clear that she is one of the most open people in the world, I love Twitter, and this is one of the reasons why I love social media, is because it is that platform that kind of like is able to tap a little deeper into these artists' psyches, places that we would never probably be allowed to go, and even that they wouldn't allow themselves to go if it would not just such an easily tangible tool where they can just like tweet some shit and then go about their fucking day.
Just use your thumbs, right?
I think through these platforms, through social media, we've learned that Erykah Badu is fucking open as shit, but she might not be the most open-minded person in the world.
She's still a 50-year-old black woman from the South.
Like, and that's what I say. That's my whole stance. Is like, y'all forget this bitch is from the South. Not like Georgia, y'all South, like motherfucking Atlanta. She's from Texas, sweetheart.
Yeah.
She's born in
like, don't go after 7 p.m. Texas. So like, let's not.
Yeah, no. But
yeah. I also think that because of how much she uses herself to produce art, people end up confusing her with the art, especially the art that she made almost 20 years ago.
Yes.
And not just 20 years ago, but in a time where you didn't have those like social media-esque type things to see like, okay, this is what it is you're also thinking in this area about certain different things. Like you can't look at screenshots from Erykah's Twitter from like 2000 when like all these different albums and stuff were coming out. You're relying on this to assume, oh, this is kind of the way that you were thinking, the way that you were at, like how it is you would perceive other people in the world. And I think people, especially for artists that are as big as her, don't get very uncomfortable when change happens or when like the person that is a whole person like goes through changes and stuff. And I think because we don't expect artists to change like their minds or change like how it is like they go about navigating the world and stuff, when they do counter something that is directly counter to like how it is we perceive them or how it is we have received their art,
right? We
get upset. It's
how
like
we
more
have received their art.
Yeah, it's more of a cognitive dissonance on our end than I think on the artist end, because it's like, okay, you're a whole person. Go, grow. Like, you're going to change your mind about things for better or for worse. And I think when people are like, oh, you're canceled, you in 20 years of like your work and stuff, we're just never going to listen. It's like, this is a bit dramatic.
Well, Erykah Badu is an interesting case study, right? So obviously, none of us have any reason to ever pick up an R. Kelly album again. For sure. None of us have ever any reason to pick up an XXXTentacion album ever again in our lives, right? Because we know what they do. It is physical. It is tangible. They have done damage to people, damage that cannot be taken back. No art they made is worth that damage. Erykah Badu hasn't damaged anyone with her tweets, and has arguably put in a lot more work towards being good than towards what we see as being bad, right? And so it's interesting, right? Because it's like, where is, I guess, the line? And that line is like different for different people. And it will always be different for different people, right? Some people will say like, nope, Erykah said this, I'm done with her, I'm done with all her work forever, whatever it is that she's given me. I liken her to Kanye. In a lot of ways, right? In the sense that a lot of people have completely canceled Kanye, and they have every right to do so. But for me, Kanye gave me what he needed in his first 3 albums. So anything he did afterwards, I was like, all right, you're a dude doing stuff. Until you do something abhorrent, until you do something that like personally impedes on my own moral code. Like if Kanye was to go hit somebody, or if Kanye was to go like, Lord forbid, like sexually harass or abuse someone. I could not even begin to even think of how to listen to those first 3 albums anymore. It's the same sort of thing for me with Erykah. It's like, when she does something, like when it comes to the point, for me at least, when she crosses that line, wherever that line is for each individual person, again, varies, that is when I'm going to be like, nah, I can't fuck with her. But as of now, the 30 years of work that she's put in doesn't earn her necessarily the cachet to say like these things. She's still wrong for saying them. But it doesn't cancel out all the stuff that she's done.
Yeah.
I agree. I slightly disagree more so on the Kanye point, just because, like, yeah, he might not have necessarily harmed or damaged anyone, but he has vehemently endorsed people that have made it their goal to do so.
That's fair.
So that's the only thing I would think about in reference to Erykah Badu. It was like, yeah, she didn't fucking hurt nobody, but did she adapt ideologies that we have known and been able to scientifically, however the fuck, prove that it has harmed people? Like the over hypersexualization of women and not allowing them and policing them rather than fixing men and their behavior or whatever. Or even though, I mean, her whole stance on the whole R. Kelly thing was like kindness and love and forgiveness and respect, but it was also like there seemed to be a lack of accountability that came with that. And he is somebody who has vehemently, more than once, severely, permanently damaged women and continues to do so to this day. And the lack of acknowledgement of that is harmful, and that is very damaging.
I think that because of, and it's something that comes with being a person of that kind of fame or stature, there's directly punching somebody in the face, and then there's continuing
to allow
or continuing to allow or encouraging an environment where people can get punched in the face.
Yep.
And I think that when you're doing the latter because of the impact in general in society you have, to a degree you can kind of get like, okay, like side-eyed a bit. Like, all right, this, because of the impact that you have on people that look like you, that are looking to your music and things like that and are going like, I see self-love and like appreciation of women and stuff, and it directly counters the things you say, it can be detracting and it can be something that should be kind of addressed and acknowledged. But I think to the point you were making earlier, in the same way that like it doesn't, the things in the comments and stuff don't also take away from all of the good that those albums and things do. And I think that the two can coexist without the art. Like the two can coexist, I think.
We need to accept that it will coexist. Like, especially because we just talked about, we need to stop holding people accountable for keeping in mind our favorite piece of art that they made, whether it be a year ago or 20 years ago. And the fact that like people change on a daily basis. Like trauma can happen within seconds and people can completely change their mindset. And artists should be allowed to express that. The reason why we respect them is a level of honesty in their artistry, but it's like, it's only allowed in some spaces and not in others. And like, it's good to acknowledge the harmfulness of what is said. Words have consequences, words have actions. Like,
words are actions.
Words are actions. And there needs to be a better acknowledgement of that. But like, I do think we need to accept like, all this is going to coexist together. There's no such thing as like a completely good person or a completely bad person.
And I guess that was the greater point that I was getting at, is that these things will coexist together and will continue to do. Erykah's music will continue to propagate things that are wonderful, right? And they'll continue to propagate things that are positive in nature and will continue to propagate the right ideas forward. Erykah's tweets might not.
Right.
And the way we reconcile that is very personal and is very different based on your relationship with the music and the words and your interaction with the world itself, right? Like, you two are Black women. There's no need to tell you how the world interacts with you differently than it interacts with me, a brown guy, right? It's very, even that in itself will affect how your line, I guess, is drawn for what Erykah Badu's legacy is. Mm-hmm. So with that said, like, we've talked about a lot of things where Erykah's like worked with Aquarians and given us amazing music and given us amazing music videos, but also has said these things. Where do you think Erykah Badu's like legacy sort of lays as it is? Like how do we look at her now that we have like, I guess not a whole picture, but as a whole picture as we can? Erykah's once like very famously quoted as saying like, I'm an artist, I'm sensitive about my shit, right? So like, I'm always hesitant to pass like judgment on her art. I always try and take it as it is and take it in as the whole. But as far as like Erykah and her legacy, I would say that like what she's done for the musical community and what she's done for the sound of music, the way she's like transformed that and the way she's like sort of seeped the spiritualness into certain aspects of hip hop, the way she's represented herself and represented that community of overtly spiritual people who are not associated with a single religion, the way she's sort of taken performance art and expanded it and become one of our living legends of it, all contribute to like, I think the greatness of and the myth of Erykah Badu. And these other things, these other aspects of her personality sort of also contribute to that same myth where it's like, here's this incredibly complicated, incredibly complex artist who is like a channeler of art, but we don't necessarily always have to agree with the medium. The medium doesn't always have to be the message. That's what I take away from her, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think as the different like tweets and stuff were like rising and things, and every time she'd say something, I'd be like, "Ooh,
next." Yeah.
But because of the place that I'm at in my life now, I think I could acknowledge that the work that she did in terms of her music, Mama's Gun in particular, influenced how it is I see myself, how I see my spirituality, connecting with like the world around me and things like that. It is definitely a necessary component of how I got there. But Erykah remaining in that space and me seeing her as somebody that continues to promote these ideas of self-love and like will extend that to everybody and be super open-minded. If she stops doing that, that's not going to stop my ability to see the world in the way I do. So it's like it can still be called out that the different things that she's saying now are objectively wrong without countering the impact that she had in my life and countering like where it is I am today. Like I'm not dependent on her staying the same for me to say the same and for me to still be impacted by what it is she did.
Yeah, I mean, the way I take Erykah Badu is similarly to kind of how I look at Kanye West. I mean, fundamentally, I think they have done for me what it was they were ever going to do for me. I feel that way about Erykah. All the things that I feel like she was going to teach me and show me, and like you kind of said, Chase, like ways in which you viewed yourself, all the things she's already done for me. So that's not something that I seek from her anymore. Nor is it something that I would go to my younger siblings or whatever and say, follow Erykah Badu's Twitter if you want the word. No, listen to Badu's. No, like dead ass. Listen to Baduism if you want the word. Listen to Mama's Gun. Like listen to her art. She's somebody, and I'm learning to do this more and more. Like, I wouldn't say separating the artist from their art, but being able to consume both differently, and if they don't fit, not trying to make them. Yeah. Like, I can respect an artist for what they fucking made, and I do not have to respect the artist. Or I can respect the artist for who they are, although I might not necessarily like all of their art. Yeah. And, like, that's how I view Erykah Badu. I like her for the art that she has given me, and that is where I lie in her art. Like, but I still respect her as an artist. And I honestly think all these takes again, and another thing that I really fundamentally think is like a lot of the problematic things that she says, not that she doesn't believe in them, but I feel like she chose to say them in which she felt to say them because she knew they would spark conversation. She knew it would piss people off. And I mean, I think there's somebody, and she's somebody that will understand wholeheartedly like the internet is the biggest troll, and I think that's something that she like lives in.
Yeah, I don't think she's bothered by anybody being like, you're a kid. Like I think she's like, okay, I'm canceled.
Like that's fine. Sure. Like, you don't even know what canceling means. Yeah. Like, yeah.
She's like, do I no longer exist? Right. Am I not still a being on this earth?
Right, like that, right. And I think she does it on purpose. Like, I think her saying, like, bitches, don't be wearing them short-ass skirts. Like, she knew that was going to piss people off. And I just think Erykah Badu is a thought-provoking ass bitch to the point of, like, being problematic or non. And I think we live in an age to where, like, people that are known for being problematic have louder voices than the ones that don't right now, unfortunately. And I think if she's someone who is incredibly smart, which I know that she is, can see that and realize that, she's going to lean on this unproblematic wave until it changes. Because she wants to be heard. She wants to be seen. That is Erykah Badu. So I don't knock her for that. And I can't wait to see what she grows into. Because I think she's just going to continue to reach legendary icon status. And I think she's going to surpass that in many ways, that we kind of like want our legendary faves to kind of take in these young niggas or produce newness or whatever in art without necessarily producing their own art. I think she's going to be one of the best people to do that. I can't wait to see what she does with her kids. I can't wait to see what Seven does artistically, what Puma does artistically, because it's there.
Whether they like it or not.
Right, and it's there. I mean, Puma, and they know Puma be over here singing or whatever, her mama shows and shit like that. I'm like, girl, she a trapeze artist and shit like that. Like, go ahead. I can't wait. She gonna be like a little baby FKA Twigs or some shit. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm really excited for all of that. She's somebody who I know. She's just kind of like in a way. Now, I actually was thinking about this. I hope she doesn't end up in the same boat that Nina Simone did when she passed away. But I see, like, as faceless as it sounds, I see her essence being transferred from generation to generation to generation to generation, similarly to Nina Simone, until the world stops.
Indeed. So, thank you guys for listening. Please comment your thoughts. Please feel free to argue with us in the comments. Again, we are another hip-hop podcast, and we're attempting to elevate the discussion of hip-hop and sort of get away from the simplistic Twitter convos that y'all have back and forth, and hopefully give y'all something more meaty to like sink your teeth into. So peace and love for now.
Thanks, y'all. Oh, real quick. I wanted to ask you guys don't have to answer. What's your favorite non-popular Erykah Badu song? Mine is Think Twice. I fucking love Think Twice. And every time I play it, everyone's like, is this a go-go remix? Is this a go-go version? I'm like, no, this is just
the song.
Erykah Badu. Think Twice is a hit. Please play it.
Is 82,000 considered a popular song?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that'd be my favorite song because it comes out all the time.
I'd say Anon.
I feel it. Okay, well, listen to all three and let us know your favorite, like, non-popular Erykah Badu song.
Shots to the bag, lady.
Yeah. Thanks, y'all. Follow us on the things. Peace.
Wait, when does it come back in?
Hey guys, Bria the curator here. Thank you for listening. Just wanted to let you guys know that we're officially on Apple, the whole podcasting thing. So click that button, follow, subscribe. We're also on SoundCloud and Spotify. So follow us on all the things. It'll be worth it. Thanks.